Right, I will do a portfolio update in this video. So it's what I typically do during the weekend, a little weekly update of my portfolio. So going through the gold and silver miners in particular in this video. Before I do that, I'm going to take a look at the dollar index, the DXY, then gold, silver, and the GDX and the GDXJ. It's a nice little intro before hitting the miners, just to give some context. And to me, the markets can influence the miners, but it can go either way. And I'm not too sure which way it'll go now. I feel like the markets want to come down. Is it the top? I think it is. I've thought that before, been proven wrong. But we're really high. Interest rates, okay, besides what they did on Friday, but they're starting to hit their all-time highs, of the bear market. And last time we got to whereabouts we are now, we started to dive because of the financial crisis, right? The bank started to bust, and I don't think there's anything different now, just more debt. So, will the miners, gold, silver, and the GDXs go up if there's a financial crisis, if the markets start to collapse, or maybe the banks start to collapse, or both? Or will they follow the markets? It's 50-50. So I won't cover the markets. I'm going to just cover the DXY, which, to be honest, at the moment is following interest rates. Again, that is not always true, but I think it is at the moment. So I want to keep it simple. Dollar, gold, miners, portfolio. Let's look at the dollar. So we flushed the 100 level, the 100.8/101. So if I just zoom out, you can see this level here was pretty much critical support. We flushed it. We went just below 100, nice little psychological flush. And then we bounced. And I thought we would just retest prior support and then fail. But to be honest, it was going to do that, I think, after just going a little bit above. But then we had this very strong rally. Okay, I'm not going to go through all the reasons, the news, FOMC, CPI, whatever. We're just looking at the charts. Everything is priced in. And we kept on going. And then, to be honest, we tagged, and I had these trend lines already in place. I thought maybe 102 is going to be the next level. We tagged that too, 1 or 2 days, 3 days maybe. And then boom, we kept on going higher. And to be honest, it tagged this descending. And if I didn't have this descending line, it would look like it just hit random resistance in the air, like it just reversed for no reason here. But actually, it tagged perfectly this descending. So very happy to have that in. I think it's 102.8. Yeah. And, we've come down. Now, look, we're starting to hit new support, prior resistance, 102. I don't want to go into it too much, but it is what it is, So what happens now? So either we curl and retest this. And to be honest, if we start to break out of the descending, it's about the close, daily close. Do we close above the descending? The absolute purest way of confirming it is if it closes above the high of this day here on Thursday, which pretty much, let's delete this just for now. Imagine you come out of, you curl, and then you start to close outside of this. Well, that's pretty bullish. But imagine you close above, this 102.8. I mean, that's extremely bullish. That suggests, to be honest, we're going to go up here. And to be honest, it suggests we're going to break out, like bias towards breakout. So it's very critical to see what happens next week. What would be good for the bears, like the gold bulls, is if we bounce a little bit and then fail, or if we just fail straight away. So, I don't want to predict everything, but I think the chart is extremely important now. And next week, I think we have either a breakout or we have to go back down another level, which is, in this case, the next level would be 100.8/101, the old level, which had been relevant for months. And there it should find support there. It really should bounce for a little bit. And then let's see, do we bounce and test this descending again, or do we fail and go back down? And to be honest, if we fail and go back down, chances are we really are going to flush. I'm talking about at least 98, probably below. There'll be a lot of momentum going down with that. And it probably would coincide with news. So, obviously we can go up, we can go down. But I think this chart, as I've drawn it, is pretty accurate. I think those levels are the levels to watch. I don't think there's a level there that's not relevant, and I don't think I'm missing anything. So I'll be paying very close attention to the DXY. It corresponds with interest rates at the moment, but I think interest rates are the most important thing. I'm not covering them in this video. I've covered them in every other video I've done, but for the purpose of this video, the DXY is more influential to gold and silver at the moment. So that's the dollar. Let's look at gold and silver before going to the miners, and then before ultimately going to my portfolio. Gold came down with the dollar moving up. Now we've bounced. To be honest, we closed below this ascending line and below this horizontal, so it didn't look good. Had a little doji. Take a look at silver in a while, you know, right next, but silver did not breach its ascending, and to be honest, we bounced and we're back into it. So it all depends on the dollar, number one, in my opinion. But if we can hold this ascending, then let's see if we can mount a move back up to 1980. What we really need is a close above 1980 to really test. I think it'll go straight through 2000 if we start to close above 1980. The next day we should be testing 2000, and that same week, whenever that is, we're at 2020, and then we can talk about all-time highs being breached. But at the moment, you know, we did lose this ascending, and we just about closed above the ascending, or maybe my ascending isn't that accurate and it's just a retest and it hasn't closed. So whatever, let's see. But gold, not strong, just trying to hold on, you know, cliffhanger over here. If we fail, which we could definitely do, especially if the dollar starts to break out of its descending, then to be honest, 1900, very simple. I don't see any support on the way down. It's a nice big number. I don't see us going down to 1910 and bouncing. I mean, maybe, you know, intraday, but I think 1900 needs to be tested. And to be honest, you don't want it to go to 1900. You want it to bounce at 1903 or 1904. If we go to 1900 with flushing, they're going to trigger all the stop losses. But then you could have a nice, healthy bounce, you know, one of those stop loss raids, and then you've got a nice hammer reversal, and it's basically a double bottom on the whatever, the weekly or the monthly. So 1900 on the way down, on the way up 1980. Really $40 moves up and down. Keep it simple, but not unbelievably bearish, but not bullish. It's neutral and it's cliffhanger stuff dependent on the dollar. Silver, more bullish. Look, you know, we've come from all the way down here, and unlike gold, which was hovering with its recent highs, silver totally took it out, and therefore it's finding support before, you know, relative to gold is stronger. And to be honest, this bounce here on this ascending is perfect. I mean, it goes a little lower, hits this part, but whatever, it's basically perfect. So stronger than gold. On the way down, to be honest, I don't think it would go all the way down to its lows down here, because like I said, it's stronger than gold. So I'd assume gold would be at 1900. If there was a big move down, I'd expect silver to find support, you know, I don't know, 22.5 or something, but not all the way down to 22. But if it does go down all the way here, it should be very, very strong buy, especially if you consider it would take a couple of days, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then by then, even if you lose this, you should find very strong support with the ascending. You know, look at this ascending. And remember, silver's very, very strong down here. So I believe this base a lot. It's credible. It's longer term. So I think even if you do go down to 22, a little flush should be very strongly bought. And then you've got a nice hammer reversal. So I think silver will be a very strong buy down here, kind of regardless of what happens. Unless there's absolute sell-off in everything and it's, you know, bloodbath, dollar is king and just get out of everything. But it should be bought down here. I definitely buy down here. So for me, where it is support, obviously the ascending, but also it's been proven true on Friday. Let's see what happens next week. Look, you have to look at gold, you have to look at the dollar, interest rates, markets, blah, blah, blah. But for me, you know, lives another day. Can we mount another move up? And, you know, can we hit resistance? By the way, this line is irrelevant. So resistance would be quite simply 25. And if we can close above 25, we can run to 26. So silver stronger than gold. Those are the levels on the way up and on the way down. I should take out one of these lines, just trying to figure out which one, this one. And then just add this general line over here, 25. You know what I mean? Over here, we bounced and then we flushed. Also slightly resistance here. So if I had to choose one line, it'd be this one. Also a nice round number, 24. If we can close above 24, maybe we'll mount to 25. After 25, it's 26. Silver can be like that. It's really simple increments of 1 unit. Okay, that's gold and silver. Let's look at the miners. Well, the miners are trading as if gold's at 1900. So underperforming the metals. That's bearish, the sector, but it is what it is. Not the strongest bounce down here. It should find some strength, but again, dependent on the dollar, definitely. The markets, yeah, I'm not going to cover the markets in this video. I think the markets are going down anyway. But again, you can have the markets going down and gold all of a sudden literally acting in an opposite direction. So markets going down would be a good thing. And to be honest, the markets are at all-time highs almost, so wouldn't be the worst thing if that starts to happen. But look, on the way up, you've got resistance, which should be this. So looking at GDX here, $30. If we keep going up, probably just under 32. So sort of this zone. And if we keep going, then the absolute high over here, you can see it was support over here. Support here, we lost it, down we go, and then we tagged it over here. So yeah, don't have to be too accurate. There, and then probably another one. And another one there, something like that. And GDX, and by the way, on the way down, if we do lose this 29, we have a little gap fill and then 26.5. So I might as well add those in. Let's just put this in the gap because it's never too obvious where the gap is truly filled. Does it complete the gap, or is it just sometimes halfway or just before the gap starts? So that'll take care of that. Those are the levels I'm looking at for the GDX. I'm not going to look further down. I don't see us going all the way down in 1 week. GDXJ, same sort of thing. I know there's no gap here. Let's do 34 on the way down. Obviously, recent low here, 35 is also a level, but that's just going to fill the chart a bit too much. I think it's obvious. Blah, 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 something like this. Keep it nice and simple. These can be taken out sort of in 1 day, of course, but yeah, look at that. That's not the best close, low of day. Not the kind of candle you want to see. That's strong resistance. But again, let's look at the dollar. Let's look at the markets. Let's look at interest rates, gold and silver. But miners definitely not as strong as the metals. Okay, let's look at some specific miners in my portfolio. Finally, Newmont. It's been my strongest holding, and it's been one of the worst performing miners. Not really too bad. You know, you've got some miners that have really been thrown to the wolves, but this one's okay. The dividends is nice, and I think a lot of negativity is priced in. I've seen it not go down as much as others on bad days, so I think there's a lot of selling that's been complete. With that said, you zoom out and it's pretty much one of the biggest miners or the biggest miner, and it doesn't look so good compared to others that are doing very well. But I like it, to be honest. It's a good defensive play on the way down. On the way up, it can have its days. Now, I think these trend lines speak for themselves. Support is exactly where it is. We know that the miners can go low, especially if there's a dollar rally, Maybe if there's a market flush, it'll also go down. But, we've got 40, nice big number for support. And below that, we've got the old low of, let's say, 37.5. After that, probably the Corona low of 33. You wouldn't want it to go there, but it would be a strong buy. I think it would be really aggressively bought. So if it goes there, I'd really increase my position. If it flushes down here, to be honest, I probably won't. I probably nibble a little bit, but I think there are other miners that are better buys for a bounce. On the way up, the first resistance you'd encounter, let's take the time component into it, probably be both. I'd say it's just above 43, between 43 and 44, but also imagine how long it would take. You'd probably start hitting this descending, which would probably coincide. So 43, 44 on the way up. And if we start to take that out, we'll probably run to this 46 level. And then after that, you've got this next descending. So I think it's, I really do believe in these trend lines, the horizontal ones, the descending ones, and it really typically does work. I trust in them more than moving averages, MACDs, RSIs. I've done this for a while, and those, they do work. It's just, for me, it's nice and simple. I like to keep it simple and not overcomplicate things. So I'm not going to put my bullseyes. It will take too long to do this video to edit. Gold, Barrick Gold, stronger than Newmont, but for a senior, not doing too amazing. At the moment, you can see why I've got this ascending trend line. If we start to close below the ascending, well, let's be honest, I always count on the horizontals. It does sometimes do the job. So let me just add the horizontals. although they're very close by. So you got this one here, and you'd have this one here. I would count these as levels, but I wouldn't count them as very strong levels because they're so close to the last one. I can't even put this one in at the moment, but whatever, you see what I mean? Okay. You know, something like that. But again, once you close below, you would expect a flush. And to be honest, the next real line I'd probably say is this one, you know, before you have the absolute low of down here. I don't think we're going to go all the way down here, but let's just draw them in case. On the way up, no, not this one anymore. I would say it's more this one, and let's be honest, it's better to sell just before than to miss it. Yeah, I'd be looking at something like that. So that's Barrick Gold, pretty decent defensive one. Agnico-Eagle, I think it's my favorite one. This descending line did the job, but it corresponds with the horizontal at the bottom, and now it's irrelevant since it's already touched it. Very simple, right? So this horizontal, we bounced. Obviously, it was the last low on the way up. Yes, you can see why resistance here, bounced off it for support, flushed it there. So, you know, 50.5, let's say. And then if we go higher, maybe even there. That's why I like doing these videos. I just do it live. I haven't, so all the lines you already see, they've been there since weeks probably. So that's what I'm looking at. I could add some more descendings, I guess, like this. I might do that. That's what I would look at. Obviously, support, resistance, blah, blah, blah. But I like Agnico-Eagle. And, you know, it looks a bit like Barrick Gold now that I think about it. But very good. Came out with earnings, I believe, recently that were very good. Look at Wheaton Precious Metals. That's a very strong one. Again, it's got this ascending there, and you can see it's outperforming the others. The only bad thing, if I can say that, about Wheaton is that it doesn't have too much upside. You know, look back to this high here, 30% sounds amazing, but look, you know, it's already taken out its 2011 high. Whereas you look at any other stock, okay, this is probably the wrong one. You know what I mean? Look at the upside you got here. It's just, I shouldn't really do this, but 1,000%. Well, let's look at Barrick Gold, something more comparable to Wheaton. You know, we're already past 30% here, and think about getting back to your 2011. So Wheaton, it's nice, it's big, it doesn't go down much usually, so it's nice to own on the way down as a defensive one, but you haven't got too much upside. So I don't put as much in Wheaton as I do these three actually. But you know, holding up well, which is good, which it's supposed to do. Pan American Silver, this is a beast. It owns Yamana, which is a beautiful mine, which I used to hold, and then I sold into it as it started to move up because of the news. And then in the end, I bought Pan America anyway. So, and I had gold fields, which I've been selling. I'll get to that later. Anyway, look at that. Pan America, really cheap. It was quite strong relative to others. It had good news. Look at that. Nice pop up there, but, you know, came down with everything, and now it's cheap again. The levels, actually, this level doesn't even count. I'm going to keep it simple and just put this big level up here, $17. Right now, got a bit of a gap here. You could say that's a level. And knowing how GDX is very close, I would say if we start to close below this, you've got GDX really looking weak. This little gap zone, let me just make the lines for the gap. Yeah, the ascending support, really. That's what I would say. So besides the gap, it's this ascending support. And look how long this line is, you know, it stretches far. Is it accurate? I probably missed it here, but I touched it there and there. So it's a rough line. So actually, if we start to flush this gap, you should find a lot of support just above this last low down here, you know, because it's ascending. So it'd have to be just above this line. Maybe it ends up being this line actually. So I would say between 14 and 14.5, something like that. If we start to go below that, then there's this low here, 13.5-ish. After that, you've probably got the Corona low. Let me just put that in anyway, but roughly this, which it touches kind of twice. I like to make a rough line sometimes. But, you know, Pan America, great company, great buy. And the upside is monumental stuff. To be honest, on the way up, we've obviously got this 17 that I've just drawn in. Then the next one is here. I can understand that. These are lines I've had in for a while. And then you got this descending and a breach and a close above. That would be great. But by then we're at 20 and there's probably some fireworks going on in the sector. Okay, Aris Mining, formerly Gran Colombia. I like it. I think it has like a 5% dividend, but I really like it. I'm not sure how many people know about it, but it's one I've followed for years, actually. Not that I follow companies in too much detail. It's more the chart. But, revived from the dead. If you zoom out, look at it, it was left for dead. Then they recovered the balance sheet very well. And now it's kind of like a normal stock with, I don't think it's very well known, but I think it's the #1 in Colombia. Great reserves, sound balance sheet, great dividends, and it's very cheap. So support, look where I think it is, makes sense. 2.20-ish, just above, which is why I actually nibbled a little bit recently, even though I'm quite aware it can go back down to 2. And after 2, which is the March 2020 low, right? We're talking Corona lows. Then I don't know. That's why I don't, well, then it's actually 1.6, isn't it? Obviously, there's no point in me putting it in, but I'm going to put it in just because I've seen it. Then after that, to be honest, it's probably $1 and you wouldn't want it down there, but good companies can be sold off just because of momentum and whatever, just capitulation. So as long as there's nothing wrong with the company, hopefully you have enough dry powder to take advantage because it's on flushes. You buy it and then before you know it's back at 1.6 and it's just had a 60% rally, and then you're rich again, and the miners haven't even started to rally. So you've got to make sure you have dry powder in case there's some absolute holy moment. So yeah, but on the way down, I think 2.2, 2, and like I said, 1.6. On the way up, this line here, yeah, 2.7, even though we popped our head above it, you can see why it's this area here. And if we go above that, if we start to rally, to be honest, the old high of 2.8, which isn't much difference, probably would be where it's hitting its head on this descending. So this little thing here will be here. That was my breakout annotation. So look, I move back up. We hit 2.7, probably go back. But if we do start to test 2.8 in the next 1, 2, 3 weeks, we're probably talking about a big breakout, and then we can run past 3, and then it gets serious because that's a big move, right? That's 50% from 2 to 3. So yeah, I like this company. I think you can make a lot of money in this. Sometimes I'm surprised how much the value of my holding moves up and down in this. Okay, Mag Silver, one that I used to hate, and to be honest, it had very good news recently. I think it's on this day here, the 26th. I think it was good earnings. And then the next day, it's just forced. I did actually sell into that because I still didn't like the stock. And on general principle, even though it had good news, I said, no, I'm getting out. So I did trim, but I did reduce the amount that I trimmed. I wish I'd sold more, but it came down with the sector. But otherwise, it wants to go up now. So actually, I've added into, I thought I'd never add again, but something that's had very good news that's been destroyed for a long time, thinking it's going to be bad news. But that's come down just because it has to, because the sector came down. That is the kind of stock I like because it deserves to be higher. It deserves to be at least at 12.5, if not. So if the sector rallies, I think this might be one of the stronger ones. So, but anyway, all of that aside, I think you can see why this descending is definitely credible. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. Next time will be 5, and it definitely has a reason to go up. So a close above this descending, and yep, we go to 13.5. After that, there's your next horizontal, which coincides maybe with the descending. Yeah, I think all of these levels are completely accurate. This one may not come into play because if we're breaking out the descending, we're not going to go here. We'll probably go all the way up. So this one, I'll dilute it. It could be up here instead, just below 16, but whatever, we'll see when we get there. But I think that's pretty clear. If we flush, which I don't see happening unless the sector flushes, 10.5 should be support. If we lose 10.5, to be honest, not too obvious. Maybe here you can see how many times we hit this resistance, support, support, support. Let's ignore the March madness, but maybe here. And to be honest, it's had good news, so it probably will want to find support early on. If we start to lose that, Who knows? Maybe around 7 before going to 4. Jesus, can you imagine 4? It would be so good if it comes down there. I would hate it, but if I have dry powder, it would be worth the wait. I'm not going to keep drawing the lines down there. All right, Goldfields, one that I have really respected, very strong, but a bit like Wheaton, not too much upside. And actually, so I'd been selling into this one, a bit like Mag Silver. They were the two ones I didn't like. I wanted to eliminate from my portfolio. Mag because it's a bad stock, although now it's become good. And Goldfields because it was too good and very little upside. But now it's become bad because it had, I think it was bad earnings. But what I didn't like about Goldfields is that, you know, like Wheaton, it had gone up too much and there just wasn't much upside. I mean, look, actually, if I go to the weekly, there is a bit more upside. You can see, you know, the all-time highs of, whoa, that's 1980s, 2011. Actually, no, we've taken that out already. But, you know, there are higher levels, $20. I thought that this little line here, this ascending one, that could come into play if we start to breach 17, 18. It could start to go to 20. You know, imagine the time element. By the time it does it, it could start to maybe hit it here. So 20 becomes resistance. But even if it was to rally from where it is, and this is after an earnings flush, 20 is, okay, 50%, but it's not going to do it. And 50% is not that much compared to other stocks. I just felt like it had run too much. But there were some days where it was one of the top rallying miners, despite being quite highly priced. So, but anyway, now it ain't so good because it had bad earnings and it's gone all the way up. So now it's got a long way down to go. So I think it's going to flush this level. You can see why I think 13 is a level. I mean, clearly resistance here, resistance, and then bam, breaks it out, hits it as support. We're back there now. It's like 5 or 6 times it's tested it. When we take it out, I think we're going to take it out, especially if the sector goes down. I think the ascending support is next, maybe 11.5, right? Imagine it starts to flush, maybe, yeah, around 11.5. If we start to lose 11.5, we have a bit of a gap, actually. Just notice that. Maybe that comes into play. And if we do flush that, then it's probably going to be around $9 because it'll take a while. And you can imagine it'll probably hit this ascending along with this last horizontal line at 9. So I think that's what I'd be looking at if I wanted to add to Goldfield on the way down. I probably would. If it came down to 9, I probably would. I think it's worth a bounce. And it's one of the more popular stocks you can count on to move with the miners. So Goldfields, I'm quite bearish, actually. I haven't closed my position. So, but I think it's just one I would sell on the moves up rather than add on the moves down, unless it really goes down to 9. But if it's down to 9, the whole sector's squashed and there might be a better mine out there to add to. So Fortuna, now we're looking at the silver boys. Pretty strong silver mine. You know, there are a lot of silver mines that are back down to their absolute lows. This one is holding up. I don't love it. I just don't like the jurisdiction, but you don't have much choice these days. Mexico is still one of the best areas. I just, you know, these laws they're bringing out, and you know, Mexico is not really a friend of America. So also a geopolitical aspect to things. But anyway, look, you know, retest of this descending, it's finding support early and not just back at 3. It's pretty strong for moves up, but well, anyway, I'm looking at, you know, $3 for support. On the way up, yeah, $4, nice and simple. I think that makes sense, although maybe just a bit below now because it recently ran for 4 and then just failed at 390. So probably, you know, 389, 388 if I really had to sell. And then the old high, the old local high of 4.2. Yeah, that makes sense. And if we keep going, the next. I don't think there's any descending trend lines to play here. They are my favorite, but I don't see one really, so I won't have one. This one, actually, I can delete now. It's done its job. So it's just horizontal lines, and they all make sense to me, right? We lose 3, we go back down here, 2.6-ish. If we lose 2.6, to be honest, it might be just around here rather than the absolute low. But yeah, just before $2. And then we'll see. Then it's March 20 low, 1.5. I'm not going to put that in yet, but Fortuna is pretty decent compared to these other silver mines. EXK is also very much like Fortuna. I don't see too much of a descending. I could force one, but I don't want to. So this line. No, delete that. Yeah, on the way down, so I would say 2.8, although we're quite away from there. Is $3 a bit of a zone? A little bit, not much. No, it's more psychological. I would say 2.8 on the way down. And on the way up, maybe this area we failed twice over there. 3.6, but definitely here, just below, just before 3.9. Yeah, something like that for EXK. Not the weakest one, but and if we do flush 2.8, then there's 2.5, and if we lose 2.5, this line here, you can see why I've drawn it. We kept on touching it. It's just I don't think we're going to go all the way back down to, probably have to go to 1 to touch that, so forget that. But you can see how $1 would be super strong. I can't believe I'm putting $1 in. That's a big drop, but there's definitely something in between if we even get there. Okay, first Majestic. This is another stock that has major upside potential. I think a lot of negative news is priced in. It bounced very nicely off this descending breakout. I can delete that now. That's the job done. Jesus, I'm on the weekly. I didn't even notice. Doesn't matter, actually. It shouldn't change anything. Yeah, not really. Look at my old ones. No, it's fine, actually. Absolutely fine. Okay, anyway, first Majestic. Well, I might just call this a weekly recap then. Yeah, bouncing here makes sense. You can see how we just had a bit of a zone here to take out 5.8, 5.9, and then, well, pretty much 6. So we're bouncing at 6. On the way up, I'm now going to say it's there. You got resistance at 7, nice and simple. On the way down, you got this ascending. You got this ascending, which stretches out a long time. So very credible stuff. So on the way down, I would say 5.4, 5.5-ish, probably by the time we get there. On the way up, 7, definitely 7. But if we take out 7, look, imagine how long it takes. We're very close to taking out this, or at least testing this descending. And if we close above it, then yeah, this probably is the first test, $8, nice and simple. After that, 8.4, we'd probably get through that like butter though. And then it's just a bunch of horizontal lines on the way up. So, but we're far from that, so no need to draw to them. All right, Coeur d'Alene. This one's really down to low levels. I like this stock. I've got quite a bit in it. It's just I know it's pretty weak on the way down too. I need to lighten this one if we start to pop. Anyway, yeah, so 2.4, it's not really strong support, but I'm going to put it here, 2.6-ish. We're pretty close as support. If we lose that, this descending, I can get rid of. It's done its job. Then this, look at this ascending going through there, just below 2.2, 2.3. It should bounce and then retest this old support, which it would have flushed. Otherwise, on the way up, to be honest, this one here doesn't count. It's just going to be simply 3.3. 3 isn't even resistance. So on the way down, I'd say 2.6-ish, 2.65, which is where we are. On the way up, 3.3. Big channel to test on the way up, on the way down. Okay, Discovery. Yeah, this one also testing its lows. Some of these silver stocks are destroyed. We're pretty much at the level, aren't we? Look at this old low here, 5.5-ish. Why did I think that was a level? Because of this. I don't usually draw that, but I saw it. And also look at this resistance breakout early on in its life. Bam. So for me, we're very close to there. If we start to go lower, then this isn't some random stock. This is I'd say it's quite well known, very good. If it goes to 28 cents, I'm buying more. Trust me, this is like a retirable move. So yeah, I had quite a bit in it. The value has dropped since the move down, but I never put too much, you know, never more than the seniors. Now it's just a medium holding, but I'll tell you what, if it goes back down here, I'll probably make sure it's as heavy as Newmont, because I would love a bounce play there. But on the way up, yeah, I think these horizontal lines make sense. This level's the first one. And to be honest, before we get to this next horizontal, we'll probably have to test the descending. And that's very significant because look how far that spans out. And it hits a lot of areas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 over a long time frame. So, you know, let's see if we can take out 70. And if we can, very, very big move to the next level, because it's probably testing, you know, the descending before we get to 80. And then we run to 1, basically. So discovery, very important if it starts to rally. Okay, US Gold Corp. This one, very little left in it. It was a miner I bought very late a while ago to chase a potential breakout in gold. Remember the 2050, 2060, 2070 move? And it didn't happen, and the miners came down, but this one held and actually went up. So I'm in profit. I hold very little. I sold already this pop. If it comes down, I don't even know if I'll add to it because it's very little holdings, and there are others I like, but I do see this area-ish for support, right? 3.6, just above. But again, I don't think I'd buy it. If it just does get there and bounce, I'd probably sell the move to 4 and go out just in the black. So, but you know, we lost this ascending support. So, but then again, a lot of miners have been crushed. So it's actually very, very strong relative to others. But if I zoom out, you can see why it's been crushed already. On the way up, this 4.5 can never really close above 4.6. And then after that, I got this 4.8 zone, and then here, I think I'm all out just before 5. I have very little left to sell. Okay, GoGold. There are the levels. For me, you've got this strong support around $1. Nice big number. It's been support before. This descending is obsolete. Whoops, what I deleted. So on the way up, I think you could say 120, but no, I would play a bit of a bigger move, 130. And after that, you got a pretty big move to 145, and then you're testing descending. So I'm not going to draw more than that. You can see I've already drawn all the lines anyway, so it speaks for itself. On the way down, though, yeah, if you lose $1, to be honest, stocks, when they lose $1, they can move quite fast down. And I see indeed this level, which to be honest, you could extend it here just to show how it was relevant before. Bounced there, and then when it lost itself there, it really flushed, bounced just above it. So that's pretty relevant. So I would probably say 70, just above 70 is the next buy zone if we lose $1. Good stock though. Another one that I bought late, like US Gold Corp. So yeah, this looks very good actually. I might add to it, make it a bit of a heavier holding. See, I prefer to own this than Goldfields, for example, you know? Oh yeah, Goldfields can do 50%, but this is a well-known stock. This is good. And how much can this do? This could, 50% just to test breakout here of descending. So yeah, this is better than Goldfields to me, just as one example. K92, another one, which is pretty good, pretty senior, if I can say that. Pretty cheap relative. Reminds me of gold. Look at the charts, very similar. So this is strong support just below 6. To be honest, we're bouncing already above it. It's relatively strong, K92, compared to other stocks that I own. Next resistance will be the last high. Very simple, 660. If we take that out, then it should be something like the other high. Let's say $7. I was going to say the old high up here at 712, but let's just say 7. And if we take that out, it's going to be the descending. And after that, well, it doesn't matter. Something is going on, but I would probably say this is the next level to look at. So on the way up, 1, 2, descending here, and then we'll see. On the way down, yes, it's going to be, well, to be honest, if we flush the recent support of 590, we're probably not going to bounce at 570. But that is supposed to be support. I'm going to just say here, 550. Because Yeah, because you know, if we start to lose 580, we're going to go lower than just 10 cents. But if we lose that, then 450 makes sense. Let's move it up 450. And after that, well, we'll see. Okay, Reyna. Now I'm looking at the real tiny juniors that I don't really hold that much in, and I don't believe too much in, so I'm not adding to them. Look at this descending, stretches a long way, pretty credible stuff. We're very close to breaching it. You can see here, but we didn't, so back down we go. But now it's rallied a bit. Yeah, on the way down, I can't tell you. There's no support on the way down. So, but on the way up, I would say the recent high of 15 cents. And to be honest, if you're closing above 15 cents, you're doing something it hasn't done in a while, and you're probably testing this descending breakout. So that would be beautiful. It starts to close above 15 cents. This I'll just extend. Gotta watch out though, any slight movement and it's out of touch with reality. But yeah, 15 cents after that. 17, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Let's see, it could even squeeze on this descending breakout. So I've drawn the lines. Nothing on the way down because it could go to zero. Okay, Turmalina. This is not the price. This is not the move it did on Friday. It did that move, sort of a fake move on Wednesday, and it hasn't really traded for 2 days. This is weird. But you know, a bit like Reyna, just down, 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 no real support. It's gone to new all-time lows. But you know, I remember this a couple of weeks ago. It squeezed here, and I sold into it, thinking, "Oh, should I really sell this much?" And before you know it, all the way back down. And no, sorry, that was this move here. That was this move here. Um, you know, I sold into it and then back down, and then it made new lows. Always take profit. And I knew that rule already, so thank God I did. And here we are back down to new lows, and this is doing some weird stuff. But to be honest, I know what I'm doing already. I think I've already got my good till cancel sells in. I'll be selling before the last high if it does get there. But this sort of descending, I don't really trust it, so I would prefer to delete it. Keep the horizontal. This one, though, I do believe. So watch out, you know, if we do go here, I'm selling, but I'm also fully aware that we can have a little squeeze up to 45. And to be honest, from 20 to 45, that's a big move. I might be all out by then. I should be all out by then. Okay, Renegade Gold, which changed its name from Trillium or something mining, not energy mining. Yes, this one, like the others, no more support. It's just hoping. Look at that strategy, hoping for some news to squeeze it. There's nothing else to say. I don't really know much about the company. I think there's been some change of directors. I have no idea anymore. But you know, I don't hold too much in it. I did actually. It's just I lost a lot of value in it, so now it's not worth too much. And thank God I didn't buy on the way down. I know not to buy little juniors on the way down, you know, buy maybe if you really believe in it, but buy small amounts and leave a large area of decline before your next buy. You know, don't buy every 5%, buy every 30% or something, maybe even more. So I haven't lost too much in this, but definitely in the red on it. And I just need a squeeze. So it's just bag holding, a loser on this one. Thank God it's not too much. Levels, I really couldn't tell you. Plus, it did like a reverse split, or I forgot, but it's changed completely its share structure. So, I mean, for me, this would be a level. You know, I'm not going to start drawing levels on this one. It's just too weird that, you know, the recent highs, maybe I'll draw one more. This, you know what I mean? This kind of level, it was sort of support and then resistance there. But yeah, let's see. Whatever. Okay, Silver Tiger. Don't know much about this one. Just heard some good things on the internet about it, and I was just looking for any random stock to chase on the recent move up in the metals. This is when gold was at 2050, and I saw Silver Tiger, and I thought, okay, let's just buy that one. Hasn't come down too much actually since the failure of the breach, but you know, we're pretty much at support. The recent support down here. And you know what? Maybe you could say you got a little bit of a descending here. I'll draw it anyway. But yeah, if we start to move up, whether it's a squeeze of that descending breakout or not, I think we've got 25 cents, a bit of a zone. And if we take out 25 cents, we have another descending, but also this horizontal to play with. So you could say here 20 cents, maybe 20 cents. It was support and apparently resistance. Although I don't trust that candle, but that's what I see. On the way, absolutely down. If we start to flush 14 cents, to be honest, knowing the way juniors are, I'm just going to go all-time low, just above all-time low. 5 cents. I don't know. Very little in this one. It's like a grand. So, okay, that'll do. Those are all my miners. It's like 2 in the morning over here. I've got football tomorrow early, so I'll end it here. Unfortunately, I did do the weekly chart for some of those stocks in the middle of my portfolio, some of those silver stocks, but I don't think it changes too much, and I don't want to redo it. So I'll try and make a note of that in the description of the video. Otherwise, I hope that was useful. Let me know maybe in the comments if you want me to look at a particular stock that I didn't cover here. And I'll either do it in the next video or I'll just add my comments in the comment section. Otherwise, have a very good weekend.